This is my Bunn VP17 commercial coffee maker that is sitting on my counter. I purchased this a few weeks ago and wanted to go ahead and just go through it and give a little bit of a review of the unit, how it works. A lot of the videos on YouTube for this particular model are very old, very grainy, and frankly nobody actually goes through and explains how the machine works. So it's pretty simple. It is a bit different than a normal coffee maker, but you can certainly make it function within a kitchen at home. So first thing to know is that there's really no pump. So it's all gravity feed, which is nice because it's simple, but at the same time, you do have to either leave this unit on or plug it in prior to when you're going to make coffee so that it has time to warm up. So basically, the inside of this unit has a reservoir in it that's filled with water at all times. And when you add an additional cup of water, it overflows and then goes into the funnel through your coffee or tea or whatever you have in there, and then into your decanter. And it's very quick, makes coffee extremely quick, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. First, I just want to kind of talk about it a little bit, and I think the first thing to know is that despite it being called low profile in the title, I mean maybe it is for a restaurant, but in terms of going into a kitchen at home, it is very large. So for me, I couldn't even put it anywhere that you'd normally put a coffee maker, and thankfully I have a bit of my counter comes out a bit further than my cabinet's reach, so I was able to put it on the side. And so I was able to make room for it. Otherwise, you know, for some of you, this may not even fit underneath your cabinets, which means you wouldn't really have any place to put it. So you want to go ahead and measure first and make sure this thing will fit, because it's not so wide, it's just very deep, and it's actually pretty tall as well. So I bought this unit for $250 approximately. It does not come with a decanter, so you'll need to purchase that on your own. You want to watch out, there's a plastic decanter and a glass one. I'd obviously recommend the glass one because this unit is one of the few out there that if you opt and buy the stainless steel funnel like I did, no plastic will touch your coffee, which is a nice benefit. It means that, you know, there won't be any taste of plastic or any kind of chemicals leaching into the stuff you're drinking, if that's an issue for you. So taking a look at the unit, it has one switch on it. So when you plug it into the wall, it's on. That's it. So the only thing the switch does is it turns on the lower burner. I have it off right now because I'm actually going to go ahead and make tea because it's the afternoon. And I'll make tea in this, and then I'll pour it over ice, and I'll have a nice iced tea. So that's what's in the unit now. It's all prepped, ready to go. It's been plugged in. What'll happen when you plug this in, it'll slowly ramp up, and then this thing draws a good amount of amperage. I mean, we're talking 12 amps, and it's well over 1,000 watts. So like 1,200 watts is what I've seen using my watt meter. So it's aggressive, and it heats the water up rapidly, and you'll hear it. You'll hear the water kind of boiling inside the unit or steaming or whatever. And then once it reaches temperature, it will cut off and it will be silent. And then after that, if you leave it plugged in, it will continue to draw about 60 watts or so about as much of as a light bulb. And that's with the burner off. With the burner on, it's going to be more. But as it does that, as the water cools to a certain point, the thermostat will cycle back on, the water will reheat, and then it will just keep repeating that process. But we're talking when it comes back on, it'll stay on for maybe a couple minutes, and that's it. So that kind of leaves you with some options here. If you leave this thing plugged in 24/7, you're going to notice it on your light bill. If you have solar panels, forget it. You don't have to worry about it. But if you have to pay a monthly bill, I mean, this thing will raise your bill probably at least $5 to $10 a month. It draws, you know, when you leave something plugged in 24/7 for that long, I mean, it's a meaningful amount of power. So I'd advise, for me at least, you know, I've just been unplugging it and plugging it back in, but if you are somebody that wants your coffee ready to go in the morning, just want to be able to pour this in and have your coffee a few minutes later, then you want to put this on a timer. so that it's not on 24/7. Because in a restaurant, that's great. That's a good thing because your ROI on your coffee is so high that, you know, 150 bucks in power over the year is de minimis. But in the context of at home, you don't really need this thing running all day. So this thing's ready to go. The funnel here, you just leave it like this, pull it out, and then you put your filter and your coffee inside, and then push it back in. You leave your handle out like this. This is your reservoir here for your water. This already has probably 120 ounces of water heated inside of it. So now all I got to do is use the pitcher that came with it, and I will go ahead and put water in it, and you'll start to see the water work its way through the funnel and into the decanter. And while we sit here and talk about it, this entire pot will fill and you'll have a full pot of coffee, or in my case tea, ready to go. Now when you come from a plastic coffee pot to something like this, you can certainly taste the difference. I mean, there is definitely something leaching off of the plastic, because it's just anything you put in this just tastes cleaner. I don't know exactly how to describe it or what the taste that the plastic puts in it, but there is a difference, and it's pretty eye-opening. Pun was definitely intended. So now you can start to hear because now I've put colder water inside of it, the thermostat kicks back on, and will reheat the water. So if you need to make another pot, like if you were in a restaurant, you could do so. So it was $250 for the machine, another $15 I think for the decanter, and then I opted for the stainless steel funnel to replace the plastic one that came with it, and I think that was about $45. So that puts you all in at about $315 plus tax, maybe $340. So it's definitely more expensive than a usual coffee pot, but given that there are many on the market that exceed $200 and probably won't last you more than a few years, I think this is a pretty compelling investment if you don't need all the bells and whistles and are okay with the machine where you have to add water and can't pull you can't remove the decanter while it's going, because there's no way to stop the flow of coffee. So that's another downside, but it's so darn fast that, you know, why would you need to? We've been talking here for 2 minutes and it's just about done. So if you want something simple, something that's going to last, something that's tried and true and is good enough for a restaurant, then this is really a unit to look at. And if you can get around the usage of power and can get a timer and do a few little things to make it more practical, then I think this is really a great option, and I don't regret my purchase one bit. Plus the stainless steel looks really nice, and if you've got stainless steel appliances, it really does look good because it's true stainless steel. I mean, there's no plastic under it. The frame is actually a folded stainless steel frame. So for me, I think it's pretty neat. So now that it's done and you've seen it work, you could just go ahead and drink your pot here and repeat the process and add new coffee and a new filter, and you'd be able to get a new pot going in about 3 or 4 minutes. But as I said, it's just, I don't think a very efficient thing to do to leave it plugged in all the time. So anyway, happy to answer any questions. The manual is not super helpful, so if there's any questions about anything relating to setup, I'm happy to address them. The manual wanted you to open the cover up and turn the thermostat up. Well, when I opened mine, my thermostat was already at the proper level, so I'm not sure if they changed the setup procedure from the factory in terms of what they do, but this one was already ready to go, so taking off the cover was really not needed. Anyway, any questions, go ahead and ask. I'm happy to address anything, happy to make another video if needed. Thanks.